way. There's the whistle, and here we go. Columbus Crew 2, Rochester, New York FC, kicking off the weekend of conference semifinals. This is taken long and taken in by Kaique. When we mentioned what Columbus Crew 2 did on decision day was locking up the top spot in the entire league. So if they make it to the final, they will host the final, as they put together a tremendous season. 55 points, 16 wins, both of those the most. Is this an early opportunity, as Kaique will come to chase this down? And as for Rochester, New York FC, a 2-2 draw, a shootout loss against NYC FC2. It was an opportunity either for both teams to make the playoffs or both teams to be eliminated from the playoffs last week. They did what they needed to do. They got the point against their New York rival, and albeit they're now in the 4th spot, they moved down a couple of spots. They could have had a home game, but they are still in a good spot here. They're just happy to be in these playoffs after the year that they have gone through.
And the key to the visitors in this back line is just the communication. We saw already Fuson starts on this left-hand side. He takes a central position, and then Russell Rowe drops in a bit. So if you're Lopez, Batista, and Alcani Ridge, you have to be very good in passing off players. You don't want to cross over. So a big key in this back line for Bruno Baltazar's side.
Looking to find space on the far side. The Crew starting on the front foot, as you might expect here on their home fields. They've been very good at home this year. 11-1, 33 points. That's the best in the league. But of course, their only loss against the team that is their opposition today in Rochester, New York. That was back in May, as this is slipped through for Fuson, just too far out in front. And Kaique is there. But something to note about the two matchups between these two, that man right there was not on the field for either of those games.
Something very interesting for Bruno Baltazar is you see Dolabella staying up in the high line. That's going to leave Giallo centrally.
Here's Fuson, and the flag is up for offside. Rochester comes into this game unbeaten over their last 4 games. 3 wins and the draw, the shootout loss last week against NYC FC2, but it was a 5-game winless run before that. They lost 4 games in those 5, a shootout loss in the other. And as Bruno Baltazar called it, in a season of ups and downs, that was just our down moment, and Schulte bobbled it for a moment, but able to bring it in. And it was at that point in the season where if they dropped off, you probably would have thought, all right, we probably saw this coming, but they did the opposite. Then they turned it around and really put together a good run of form. As that cross took a deflection, Lamar Batista gets it away.
When I'm keeping an eye on the middle field, Giallo and Dolabella, you both can't get caught high. We saw moments ago, I think it was Zawatsky making a run about 40 yards straight down the middle of the field unmarked. So you have to have that give and go relationship. As one sits, one is able to push up and join the attack as they see fit, but you don't want to get caught out. This Columbus Crew side is too explosive and too good if you give them that time and space in front of your back line.
Williams applying some pressure here. Schulte just able to get it away. Russell Rowe, a little bit of contact from behind from Lopez. It's a foul and a free kick. And an early yellow card, just 4 minutes in. That is something to monitor. I was just about to say, it's curious to see how she will officiate this game, and a yellow card in the opening 5 minutes.
I'll tell you what, it looks pretty soft, as there is a lot of contact, but it's a first yellow, it's a first foul within 10 minutes. And that's something to keep an eye on now if you're Lopez. You have to be extremely disciplined in your positioning, and you choose the challenges that you go into wisely.
Columbus trying to turn the corner. It's just poked away. Lamar Batista there defensively. And it's a corner kick coming for Columbus Crew 2.
And you just see Batista saying, hey, it's the first one.
Well, now you're looking for that consistency, right?
Exactly.
Isaiah Parente. Swinging this one in. As Lopez get his head to it, take it on the volley, and nothing to test Kaique in goal. Well, this is a Rochester side that likes to play a high line. I asked Bruno Baltazar a few weeks ago about Kaique, who loves to come off his line, and maybe a little bit more than you'd like to see, but he has been very good in those instances, and Baltazar was very complimentary of that, as Parente takes the shot on, and it's Kaique down to his right. And it looks like Columbus picking up right where they left off last week.
It's a bit too pedestrian-like on this right-hand side from Edwards. Very cheap in the way that this ball turns over. Excuse me, it's Williams. But you can just see, again, it's Dolabella getting caught high, and Parente very good at understanding there is going to be a real estate. Good strike, but in the end, easy save for Kaique. It's very surprising. You look at the middle field for Rochester, New York FC. They've been just so good on the same page, the give and go, the seesaw effect. And so far, 7 minutes in, it doesn't seem like they're on the same page. As you're getting caught out far too easy. And you have a player like Parente who's extremely smart to recognize the spaces that he can run in, play around. So you don't want to get exposed to Vigiello or Dolabella and stay centrally alone. You need to be in that pairing, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Long over the top again, and Kaique comfortable there. This Columbus Crew 2 side comes in unbeaten over their last 7. 4 wins, 3 draws, and just 1 loss in 15 games. Their last loss coming against Philadelphia Union 2. There are only 3 losses this year against Miami, Rochester, and Philly Union 2. 16 wins. And 3 losses go along with 5 draws. Touched out wide. And now the whistle comes. And it looks like it'll be a free kick upcoming for Rochester. Morris looks to be the guilty party here.
Another key for Rochester, New York is how quickly and understanding to push back these wing backs. For Columbus Crew, you can see it's a late challenge here for Morris, just coming in the back of Inalian. But if you push those back, whether it's Morris, whether it's Farsi, make that back line of 5 for Columbus Crew. You're going to have a lot of real estate to operate in. You have to get those players in those half spots, whether it's Batiste, whether it's Edwards, to join the attack. And now it's an opportunity here, whether it's Williams, whether it's Batiste, just to whip this ball in and ask questions of Schulte in his positioning. You're aiming for right around that penalty mark.
It's Williams who just plays it right down the channel. Tried something off the training ground there. Didn't quite come off, but now Batiste can serve it in again. It's a good ball in, looking for Batista. But it looks like the flag up for offside. And a free kick back to Columbus Crew 2. Well, Rochester has tried a few things off the training ground in recent weeks. That one didn't quite come off. In these sorts of games, you always look towards set pieces, especially for an underdog as Rochester, New York is. Columbus Crew 2, the only team in the Eastern Conference that can host the MLS Next Pro Cup in just a few weeks' time. Otherwise, if they don't make it, it'll be any of the 4 teams out west. And those conference semifinals will come up tomorrow. Zawadski tried to win it back. And now here comes Rochester. Trying to look upfield. It's Williams who cuts it back in field. Williams, a little bit of pressure there. Isaiah Parente did enough. And then forces a whistle and a free kick back to Columbus.
And it's good work initially from Williams as he skips away from his defender. But this is when you need to release the ball. Go out the other way, change your point of attack. Parente does extremely well just to get the body position. And then quick close down from Malou. Really good defensive positioning from this Columbus Crew side so far.
Williams picks up the second ball, tries to slide it in behind. Morris back to Schulte. And now Schulte's in some trouble. He's already taken a little bit too long on the ball once today, but got away with it. This time, it'll be a throw-in. Flicked along for Fuson. He's all by his lonesome at the moment. Now he has some help on the far side. An overlapping run, and here comes the cross just off the heel of a defender. Columbus, though, able to keep this one in. Russell Rowe. Morris. Blocked out of play. Opie Edwards, who gets his start today. Went off injured in the second to last match against Toronto FC 2. Back in the starting lineup today. Take the corner kick quick. Back for Morris, who's dangerous on that left foot, but that one too close to Kaique.
Another defensive principle for Rochester, New York FC is how they deal with balls being pumped into the box. Just the way that Columbus Crew 2 plays. They like to create a lot of overloads, especially on the wide play, whether it's Morris, whether it's Farsi. And they have a lot of numbers running in, near post, far post, center of the box. So that back three, once again, needs to be very good positionally wise, very good discipline, have a lot of communication. And so far, so good.
And Schulte elects to go long. And that is well off the mark and bouncing out of play. Bruno Baltazar, who has told us the story a few times this year about how a lot of these players and him himself didn't really show up, and just because of various delays and such until about a week before the season. It was a scramble to get things going and get things on track, but once this team did get things on track, you can see what they've been able to do this year. He said building one idea can be very hard, especially with a group of players who's never played together. It has really come together nicely, as Williams tried to play that one in behind and taken in by Schulte again. And he's really been proud of his team's growth this year. And at this point, they almost feel like they're playing with some house money.
And it's always a joy talking to him ahead of these matches, just to feel the pride, the love that he has for this organization, this club, the players as well. And even on social media, you just see how the community really embraced this side. You see the support that they have on the field, but as well, even people tweeting at us saying, hey, we're going to be watching this game. We have the love for this organization. And these players feel it. They understand that they're playing for something bigger than themselves. Obviously, Rochester's so rich in the history of soccer. To have this side now playing in the playoffs of MLS Next Pro, it's terrific.
Originally founded in 1996, the original Rochester Rhinos, but haven't played since 2017. And happy to have soccer back in Rochester. And as many coaches around the league have told us this week, once you get into the playoffs, especially in year number one, it's all about leaving a legacy. That's what you'll be remembered by. And for this first group of players under Rochester, New York FC, a chance to do just that, a chance to spark what would be a big upset, as the flag is up for offside as Farsi was caught. Jallo floats it forward. Edwards off his chest. Moves it out wide. And Alian Running right at Abdi Mohammed. This takes a deflection out of play. And it will be Rochester's first corner kick.
And this is better from Rochester. As Dobella pushes up, Giallo is going to be centrally. Has that single pivot. He has a very good vision, can hit a ball over 50, 60 yards. As Williams peels out to the outside, it's Edwards that's come centrally, and the changes once again the point of attack. And Alien, I think, is just caught between two minds as he played across as he go by himself, and now it's another dangerous set piece for Batiste just to whip this one in.
You see some Rochester fans, the Oak Street Brigade, right behind Batiste right here. Banging on the drum. Floating this one in, the heads go up, and the ball goes over the bar. This portion of the match is presented by Coda, game-changing mobility solutions in Central Ohio. We asked Laurent Courtois this week about being the 1 seed and having that target on your back, and he said, well, it's hard for a team who wins the Shield or the regular season championship to then go on and win the Cup. And we still need to be motivated. There's no excuses now. It's all about win or go home. And we'll see how his team reacts under pressure. And this is the first time that this Columbus Crew 2 side is playing win or go home games. As if you remember, Rochester, New York FC made a nice little run in the Open Cup. So they've had that experience. John Hackworth said something similar with St. Louis City, too. They also got to play in the Open Cup. So they have that experience of those moments that you can't really create as a coach, as John Hackworth said.
It's very interesting talking to not only the Eastern Conference coaches, but as well as the Western Conference coaches, saying, yes, it is a playoffs. It is a one-off game. And there's a lot of stuff that comes out externally, whether it's the media, whether it's the fans, whether it's the pressure that you put on yourself, the organization, to win this game. But at the end, it's just another game of football, 90 minutes. You're going to put on your shoes the same way. You're going to go against the same team, a different team, like you do week in and week out. And it's a growing experience for these players that haven't really played in a game like that with such high stakes, to understand, look, you have to be focused from minute 1 to minute 90 or minute 120, whatever it may be. And just enjoy the experience as well. Embrace the moment, because you are the first player, and there's not really many times in this sport of football or sport of soccer that you get to be the first in anything. And obviously, MLS Next Pro inaugural playoffs, what a fantastic opportunity for all of these clubs. And it's very interesting. Rochester, New York, just having that high press and making life extremely difficult for Columbus Crew to deal with it. For Bruno Baltazar, you have to be extremely pleased with how you're stepping forward and forcing turnovers in your attacking half. And for Columbus Crew too, very uncharacteristic, unable to break through the press. We've seen Parenta, we've seen Zawadzki not really get on the ball as much as they would like.
And Fuson whistled for that foul right at midfield. It's very similar systems between these two sides, 3 at the back. Always curious to see how those sorts of matchups tend to play out. Again, there's that pressure. Malou. And Quinton gets it back for Schulte.
And when you go against a very similar system, the 3-4-3, something that I talked about earlier in this game, Josh, is just the balance of that wing backs. Who's going to make which wing backs play more defensively? And what that's going to do is going to open up space for whether your opportunity here.
Just like that. And here's Fuson trying to cut this one back. It's Russell Rowe. See all the jerseys converge. Now back out wide. It's Fuson. His service back in is blocked down by Lopez. Morris to the top of the area. Nicoletto Quinton again, serves it out to the near side, and Morris. This time with his right foot, it's headed clear. McConaughey. Step there and a turnover here. Rochester trying to get upfield as quickly as they can. Baptiste has to slow it down and cut it back. Edwards down the line. Jallo. His cross blocked down. What's the decision going to be? It'll be a corner kick for Rochester.
And Columbus Crew 2 is having a very difficult time tracking the deep lying runners. This time it's Jallo from a central midfield position, breaking the line, getting in behind the Columbus Crew back line. As Quinton comes over, he closes down extremely well. But once again, Bruno Balthazar has to be extremely pleased. Just that give and go relationship. Now Dobella is sitting a bit deeper. Jallo has the opportunity to advance into a more attacking role.
And it's Baptiste who assisted Dalabella on the lone goal through the run of play last week against New York City 2. Touched in play. Williams now will serve it in. The heads go up. It's flicked to the back post. Batista fires it over the bar. They got the flick they were looking for. Batista was leaning back in that instance.
Just changing the angle here as Williams just whips this one in. And Batista, it's a very hard technique as you're running away from the goal to get your hips around it, take it off the half volley. I'll tell you what, he hits it extremely clean, to be fair. Just needs to get his body over it. And so far, 23 minutes in, Rochester, New York has probably had the better of the play, more of the ball, seem more threatening to open up their goal scoring opportunities here.
There's Edwards. Now Williams. Williams, diagonal ball in. Just a bit too tall for Rayo. Trying to keep it alive. Ends up in the arms of Patrick Schulte. Russell Rowe. Farsi goes quick on the throw. Headed towards the end line. It should be a corner kick, and it will be. Kind of a breakdown defensively there for Rochester, and Parente again can stand over this. Former Wake Forest product signed his homegrown contract January of last year. Sends this one in. Malou straight up into the air. Quinton was there. Malou again. Not quite able to clear this away. Parente cuts it back. Farsi serves it back in. Now it's Morris. Cuts it in again. Feels some contact. It's a free kick. McConaughey gets caught.
And there's no need to cause this foul if you're a Conyeridge. Just move your feet as Morris is going across the field into his less preferred right foot. You have traffic there. You have teammates that provide cover. Very silly foul here to give up for a Conyeridge. And now for Columbus Crew 2, there's a plethora of options you can do up and over the wall. Something off the training ground to go around the edges, or just have a chipped ball to this back post.
Parente and Morris will stand around it. It's a three-man wall for Crew 2. Parente serves it into the back post. Farsi Another opportunity to serve, but he'll cut it back. It's Mohammed. Again played ahead. And a handball is the decision. And Rochester finally a chance to relieve some pressure. Remember, if we're level after 90 minutes, it is 2 15-minute periods of extra time. If we're still level, we'll go to a shootout to decide who advances. Of course, these teams, no strangers to shootouts this year. A bit more pressure on this one than in other ones.
It's going to be interesting as well. It's the forward thinking of MLS Next Pro to provide the shootout, the catch from the spot at the end of regulation if they're tied in the regular season. So players should be more accustomed to taking a PK, but obviously something you can't teach is the pressure, the elimination factor, excuse me. So it'll be very interesting to see how these players deal with that if we get there.
Still a long way to go.
Yeah.
It's about 100 minutes from now. Played through, it's Fuson. Fuson trying to cut it in. Lays this one off. And not the contact that Micheletto was looking for as he rolls it out of play.
And it's a good opportunity. You can just see the movement throughout the middle of the field. Micheletto pinching in and then releasing Fuson. It's a 1v1. But look at the body position of Akanyeridge, forcing him to go to his left foot. Fuson obviously more right-footed, so elects to cut inside, but if he's able to just read the hips of Akanyeridge and keep driving down the middle of the field, he's going to have a lot more options as you go to goal as you play it across. Very difficult, sticky situation to cut this one back, and Micheletto's unable to get his feet.
To Russell Rowe, taken on the volley. Kaique, first big save, keeps this one out, and that's the danger. He does not need much space.
We just see the difference. As Fuson is trying to get this ball on this right foot, it's Russell Rowe understanding he doesn't have the luxury to do that, to take it first time as he's getting closed down. Good save from Kaique once again.
Another corner kick here. Parente long to the back post. Kaique, he's quite tall, and he stretches up to make that catch.
A name we haven't said much for Rochester's Rayo. As a lone striker, really any critical actions in that final third, someone you need to get going if you're Bruno Baltasar. You need to get him confident. He's been extremely quiet. What a passage of play.
Micheletto feels the contact. And the referee waves it away. And the fans won't get their wish, but a moment of danger there for this Rochester back line as they try to relieve some pressure. It's been a good few minutes now for Columbus Crew 2 to reach the half-hour mark. Switch of play, and it's Edwards all the way in the corner. Fires across in. Malou is there to head it away.
You're starting to feel the confidence growing for Columbus Crew 2. Good interchange on the front end from Micheletto and Russell Rowe. And yeah, there's not enough in there for a PK. Batista times this challenge perfectly, gets all of the ball. You just see how explosive they are, though. The fluidity on the front line for Laurent Courtois' boys. As one stays wide, one centrally, pulling players out of position. He's had a strong game, Batista, in the back line for Rochester.
It's been a running dialogue between Lamar Batista and Samantha Martinez.
Thanksgiving plans, maybe?
Nah, still a few months away.
Halloween.
There
you go.
You have your costume yet? I don't want to know. Played over the top. Here's Zinalian. Dalapella rolling this into the middle. Doesn't quite come off, and now Columbus a chance to break. Williams closed down the space. Now it's Dalapella to pick it up again. These two teams played twice in the regular season. Of course, this portion of the match is presented by Coda, game-changing mobility solutions in Central Ohio. They played in the regular season. All the goals were scored in one game, and Columbus has yet to score a goal against Rochester this year. It was a 4-0 win and a 0-0 draw that Rochester was able to take the extra point in the shootout. That was at home in June. It's been a couple of months since these two teams have played. Actually 3 to the day since they last played in June. It's Jabron Rayo who scored twice. Ian Garrett and Costa able to score the other two goals. Edwards on the turn. And it looks like a clash of heads. The referee stops play immediately. Training staffs will come on here. Malou and Rayo.
Not a quiet 33 minutes Rayo has. But he can change the complexion of this game in a matter of seconds as he's backing up. It's Mohammed coming in, trying to attack this ball. Always difficult for these players. But someone, if you're Bruno Balthasar, you need to get on the ball a lot more as you're approaching halftime. And Alien as well, Williams, the relationship was that front three. You need to be on the same page. Yes, you're doing very good to get to the final 30, but it's been breaking down in this first half for the boys, the visitors. Just lacking that last bit of quality, whether it's a whip ball in, the combination, or just the spacing in between. You could say the same thing for Columbus Crew too. This game has been very good in between both boxes.
Both players right back to it. And here's Morris. Early ball across and behind Fuson. And Morris able to win it back quickly. Four shots in this game for Rochester. Pardon me, for Columbus, just 2 shots for Rochester, none of them on target. And 2 saves already today from Kaike. This one's poked out of play. Schulte coming close to midfield there. Nalian, the bump from behind, wins a free kick for Rochester. Played in behind again, Rayo. Schulte came off his line, now he retreats. Play to the end line, Edwards. Lets this run through, and Schulte just gets a hand on it.
They've had the best passage of play, been the most threatening with that secondary run or the third runner. As Edward gets beyond the back line, very nervy moment from Schulte and Malou. And in the end, the goalkeeper does what he should. He calls him off.
And this is going to be a yellow card. Going to Isaiah Parente, it looks like. So two very important players, one for either side now, both on yellow cards, in Gerardo Lopez and Isaiah Parente.
And you can see Parente just clipping at the heels of Giallo. He knows he's beaten. He gets beaten by position. So another one going to be very interesting. As you sit in the middle of the field, you have a lot of runners around you. A player that needs to be disciplined, not to pick up a second silly yellow.
Columbus able to turn it over. Options up ahead, but that's closed down by Batista. Kind deflection here as Rochester stay on the attack. This one slipped through. Bit of contact, but that'll run all the way out of play.
And once again, just breaking down in that final third for Rochester. Giallo's had a very strong 37 minutes in the middle of the field as he advances into an attacking phase. Tries to push this ball into the path. Columbus Crew does extremely well to close it down.
It looked like that ball was still moving. To bring it back, otherwise Russell Rowe may have been in behind there. Crew fans love their soccer here in this city. I'm sure it's pretty fun to come back to the old stomping grounds, even though they have the new beautiful building just down the road. Lofted forward again, Fuson. And there was the whistle for offside.
And yes, he gets caught offside, Fuson. What it's going to do is going to make this back line for Rochester respect the run. And as they're going to drop in, it's going to open up space for players underneath, whether it's Zawadzki, Parente, Farsi, and Morris, to get in and advance in those half pockets. So little things like that really play on the mental side of this game. As you see, Lopez seems like he's signaling for a change.
And Christian Wood, who has started recently, not in the starting 11 today, but is on the bench. Ian Garrett also on the bench. One of the first two players that Bruno Baltazar could turn to defensively. Lopez has been a very important player. 23 starts this year. As Rayo looks like just lost his footing there. Another whistle there, and it looks like the referee will go to her pocket again. And a bit of a coming together. This is Opie Edwards going into the book now for Rochester.
And it's the second phase. As Michele was the first to react, just watch the bottom of your screen. Edwards just sandwiching between him and Dolabella, catching Marco Micheletto, and then Malou coming to help out his teammate. I think Lopez is done.
Yeah, it looks like that is the end of the day for Gerardo Lopez, and they're getting word that he actually was not given a yellow card. That one went to Lamar Batista earlier in the game, kicking the ball away, time wasting, and it will be Christian Wood to come on. He has made 19 appearances this year, so he is a very experienced player for Rochester, New York. This will be the first sub of the game.
Next in the match, number 2, entering number 3, Christian Wood.
Justin Malou also getting a yellow card in that last sequence. Saw him with the push to protect his teammate. All the way back, Kayike. Well, we saw Schulte on the other end. He had to be careful one time. And now Kayike feeling the pressure as well.
It's been a nice little battle in the middle of the field between Jallo and Parente. Both players do so much for their respective sides. Parente, just a general in the middle of the field, able to take tempo, pull players apart, really kickstart this attack, is the glue from the back line to the front line for Columbus Crew. On the other side, Bruno Baltazar with Jallo just sitting in the middle of the field. He is a general as well. Does more than the defensive work. Likes to break down plays, clog passing lanes. It's very hard in the challenge. A little housekeeping for Rochester now. It's going to be Lamar Batista setting in the middle of the back three, and Christian Wood's going to push out to the left-sided center back of that back three for Rochester.
So we'll see how that influences things. Wood, who played his college soccer at Loyola Marymount, the 24-year-old, was the conference defensive player of the year. Farsi all the way across. It's Morris. Farsi pulling this in. Really fell for Micheletto. Tries to cut it out wide now. Micheletto. Space to maybe take one on. Zawadzki instead plays it through. It's Russell Rowe! 4 goals last week. The Golden Boot winner opens the scoring in the playoffs. Columbus Crew 2 leads 1-0.
And it's been extremely quiet for 44 minutes, but that is a test to show how good of a forward he is. Can change this in a matter of seconds as this ball's a bit overhit from Marco Micheletto. Look at the bottom of your screen. Zawadzki, as he approaches into that final third, everyone thinks he has a shot, but look how he disguises this ball into the path of Russell Rowe, and how quickly, 1-2, 1 second to control it, second touch to put it into the back of the net. He catches everyone by surprise. There's nothing Kayike can do. There's nothing that the Rochester back line can do. So quick, so precise, so clinical. Russell Rowe, right before halftime, to put the home side 1-0 up before going into the break. Terrific finish from that man once again.
It is his 22nd goal on the season, which is absolutely absurd. What a year it's been. We asked Laurent Courtois about him this week, and he said his quality, his work rate. He says he's obsessed in a good way. He's always in the gym. He's always working on his game. Of course, that's what has earned him his contract with the first team. His homegrown rights were acquired from Toronto FC back in June, and he made his first MLS start against Toronto FC back at the end of June as well. He made 5 appearances for the first team, but he's really flourished here in MLS Next Pro. That is the first goal that Columbus has scored against Rochester this year.
Just how clean that first touch was, and there's no backlift on the finish. Doesn't give anyone a chance to close him down. You talk about vision, you talk about how precise the ball in from Zawadzki is. He catches everyone on his heels. Everyone thinks he's going to keep taking touches and keep gaining ground to have a strike on goal. Well, he disguises that ball is terrific. If you're Bruno Baltazar, you're going to be extremely frustrated to let that goal in right before halftime. Something you never want to do as a defensive unit who was just so good in this first half, but now it's all about the reaction now.
We're into 3 minutes of stoppage time as Analian is in. Will Analian over the bar. There's a bit of a loose touch initially, and that cut down the angle and made it a higher degree of difficulty than he would have hoped for.
And as he has the movement to come short and to play between the lines of Morris and Malou, it's that touch right there, like you said, Josh. Takes him far too wide. If he's able to clean this touch across and cut the angle, he has an ability to pump it into that far post. He's falling, he gets it all wrong, his balance, but what an opportunity for Rochester to draw even right before halftime.
What a great response that could have been.
We just see as a striker, your first touch is everything, especially in and around that 18-yard box. Russell Rowe's first touch is clean. It enables him to get that shot on target, and an alien just gets it away from him. And now he's off balance. He's leaning back and plays he go over the bar.
Well, before the goal, if you're Bruno Baltazar, you're probably feeling pretty good about where you're at. You know, you've given up some chances, not been able to break through, but quick little two-touch finish there from Jason Russell Rowe has really changed the complexion of this just before halftime. Through the minimum of 3 minutes, and Schulte sends this away. And the referee brings first half to a close. It looked like Columbus wanted one more attack, but there's the whistle, and away we go. 45 more minutes and maybe more here from historic Crew Stadium in Columbus. Is there a response here for Rochester, New York? This has been a tough back line to break down this year, as we've talked about, kind for the least amount of goals conceded. They've also scored the most, Columbus has. And that's what has earned them the top spot in the league. 16 wins, 55 points. Just 45 minutes away from a spot in the Eastern Conference Final, and if they can win that Eastern Conference Final, if they do get there, they would host the MLS Next Pro Cup. As the flag is up for offside. Down the line and not able to connect a pass there with Williams. Another throw in coming for Columbus.
Again, we see Dolabella pressing up a line higher, trying to play underneath Rayo, Analian, and Williams, but needs to be better connected in the attacking phase of the game. It's too many times it's Giallo just playing as that single pivot and Dobella just playing not really on the same plane. If you get the connection for those two for Bruno Baltasar, it's going to put a lot more pressure on this crew back line. So something to keep an eye on. Yes, Dobella wants to win those second balls, but also he has to be very aware that he needs to drop down and connect with his center midfield player pairing as well.
Micheletto for Farsi. Pulls it back for Mohamed. As we showed you at halftime, the possession was pretty even. The chances pretty even as well, except for the shots on target. So it's not like Rochester has to really change the way they've necessarily played so far, but they might take a few more chances the later we get. They've only been shut out 5 times this year, although one of them was in that 0-0 draw through 90 minutes against Columbus, as Kaique has to head this out of play. Edwards trying to play that in behind for Rayo, and eventually taken by Schulte. And looked like Fuson brought down. This is going to be a free kick for Columbus. And it looks like Ridge will have his name taken. Another yellow card here.
And again, it's early in the second half, much like we saw in the start of this game. I think it's, yeah, that push right there, the extension of the arms of Fuson right in front of the referee. That's always going to get you in trouble. And on the 2 out of the back 3 for Rochester have a yellow card. Something to keep an eye out on as the second half progresses.
Getting in line, cutting it back, it's Fuson, kick save, Kaique. A big time stop there from the Brazilian, keeps it at 1-0. Fuson denied on the doorstep, and another brilliant save for Kaique. No, he's up for Save of the Year. You can go vote for that at MLS Next Pro on Twitter. Now it's Russell Rowe slipping this in. It's Micheletto. He can't keep that one out. Micheletto makes it 2. Columbus Crew 2 lead 2-0. And they could be well on their way to the Eastern Conference Final.
And that says it all from Kaique, that look. What else can he do? What else can you ask him to do? He's been terrific. Big time save after big time save. But then this is just brilliant once again from Columbus Crew 2. Talk about unselfishness and patience from Russell Rowe, letting this play develop in front of him as everyone thinks he's going to shoot. Very just rolls into the path of Micheletto. And a player of that quality for Micheletto is not going to miss from there as he gets in behind, just puts it through the legs of Kaique as he comes out to get his 9th goal on the year. Marco Micheletto and Columbus Crew 2, all gas and no brakes for Laurent Courtois and his boys in this second half.
And you said the first 15 minutes was going to be crucial. How about a goal in the first 5 minutes for Marco Micheletto? It is his 9th goal of the year, and for Jason Russell Rowe, it's his 5th assist on the season. 22 goals, 5 assists. And this Crew 2 side is chugging along like a well-oiled machine at the moment.
It just seems like every time they get into the final third, they have an end to the play, whether it's a shot on target, forcing a save out of Kaique, or goes out for a corner kick or throw-in. We can't really say the same for Rochester, New York FC. Once they get to the final third, it just doesn't seem on the same page at the moment. It's breaking down, players not understanding the movement, the spacing just seems quite a bit off for Bruno Baltasar's boys.
Farsi brought down by Dolabella. And a yellow card will be issued, and now maybe some frustration from these Rochester players who have a big hole to climb out of now.
And as his ball's gone from Farsi here, not too much contact on there, to be fair. Farsi makes the most out of it, but very clever play from the wing back of Columbus Crew 2, making that man get into the book.
And now it looks like another yellow card will be issued. Might be to Marco Micheletto there, and it is. Russell Rowe able to force the turnover. Jallo wins it right back for Rochester. Options await in the middle. Couldn't get it by Quinton. Now Rochester just trying to put some pressure on Columbus, make them defend. Make this a difficult 30-plus minutes to close this out. And we'll see if they can find a goal to really put some game pressure on Columbus.
The way you're going to do that is move the ball extremely quick, very crisp in your passing, very decisive 1-2 touch, making this Columbus Crew unit move from left to right, shift and open up gaps. There has to be a lot of movement on the front end, pulling players out of position so players can come into. And that starts with the players in the middle of the field, Giallo and Dolabella, that make everything go for Bruno Baltasar's boys.
Played in behind again. It's Farsi with his head up. They'll slow things down for Crew 2. Slipped in behind again. Farsi. He couldn't get there. And it deflected off of him last. Mohammed back for Schulte, a bouncing ball. He's under some pressure. And Crew able to keep it. All the way forward. Fuson. Defended by Akanyaridge. Fuson cuts it in field. Zawadzki slides it in. It's Russell Rowe on the turn. And this one is just wide. Similar to the goal that he scored, but on his left foot this time.
And again, it's a brilliant reverse ball from Zawadzki, and I think it just catches everyone, including Russell Rowe, by surprise as he's twisting and turning, unable to get his feet right. Just pulls it. And again, really good fluid in the movement in the attacking half for Columbus Crew. As it's Russell Rowe running in behind, it's Fuson, and then Zawadzki arriving late. But again, it's just that key in the middle of the field for Rochester, New York, that's failing. It's just as Jallo and Dolabella are both getting caught out in advanced position. It's a massive gap for players in gold to run into. Gold or yellow?
I'd go yellow.
Okay, I'll agree with you then.
Trying to play through the lines. Russell Rowe, a brilliant flick. It's just too close to Kaique, who cleans it up.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If you have a player sitting in the middle of the field, you're able to clog and just cut that pass out. But as they're getting pulled out of position, Russell Rowe.
Left it forward again. Farsi's there, and so is Kaique.
And as they're getting pulled out of position, there's a straight line into the path of Russell Rowe. So you're going to see a lot of that for Columbus Crew. And then it's all about the ability to bring players in, flick around the corner, drop it and go. It's very uncharacteristic, like the understanding in the middle of the field for Rochester, who's been just so good this season so far.
Look at all that space open on the left. Telfer coming in, lays it off for Micheletto. On the turn, looking to slide it in behind for Farsi. Now it's Micheletto. For Russell Rowe, laying this one off. Jallo stepped in for Rochester, and he was fouled. Free kick to Rochester, New York FC.
You just see how patient Columbus Crew 2 is once again to the final phase. Micheletto dances around the ball on this right-hand side, but it ends up on the left-hand side. Give credit to Jallo as he sniffs this one out and doing his defensive duties as he does so well. But now it's an opportunity. In the moment of time, if you're Rochester, you need to get going. You need to kickstart your attacking phase and play at a higher tempo.
Here's Russell Rowe. Almost feels like this Crew 2 side is just wearing down Rochester. Is there going to be a second win as Telfer gets to the end line? Contact there! It's a penalty. Columbus will have a chance to go to the spot and make it a third goal.
And it's slow in rotation as this ball gets shifted out to the left-hand side. There's a lot of contact there from Edwards. As his hands are all over Telfer, you can just see the right arm around the chest, the legs getting entangled. And he knows it. Frustration, slow in rotation. Not good enough in the back end for Rochester. He goes from bad to worse as Columbus Crew keeps putting on the pressure.
It will be Isaiah Parente. The academy product, 22 years old. From right here in Columbus. Best 11 midfielder in MLS Next Pro. 6 goals on the year and trying to beat Kaique. It's Isaiah Parente and it's saved! Kaique comes up with a massive stop. And can that now get Rochester back into this?
What else do you want the goalkeeper to do for the visitors? Save after save, none bigger than that one. To keep that hand extremely strong, to not let that ball just trickle over the line. Fantastic stuff, and like you said, Josh, look for this to inject the energy for this Rochester, New York side. Saw how many heads started to hang after she points to the spot. And how is that save from your goalkeeper? Gives you a bit of hope, and that's all you need in a playoff match.
Into the corner, Mohammed puts it out. Another look here.
Esperanza hits it extremely well. Low to his left-hand side. He closes his hips at the last moment. But just how big, and look at the power of that power step from his left foot to spring him to the right side. Kayike. Massive save for the Rochester, New York FC goalkeeper once again.
Looks like Opie Edwards coming out of the game. It will be Ian Garrett to come on for Bruno Baltazar. Nice little back heel there. It's Rayo now coming in field. There's also Daniel Strachan to come on for Columbus Crew 2. Sounds like replacing Justin Malou, who is on a yellow card. That is the second substitution window used by Bruno Baltazar. He's made 2 subs. This game does go to extra time. There will be no extra moments or subs added on, so just the 5 substitutions in 3 moments. Here's Dolabella. This portion of the match is presented by Coda, game-changing mobility solutions in Central Ohio. Here's Batiz. Looking for those moments. Rochester, New York, and it's just not easy against this really solid back line. Played in behind, and Nalian, he'll latch onto this for Rochester. The cross is right at Schulte.
But as he gets in behind Strachan, there needs to be a secondary movement. He picks up his head, but he has to wait because there's no one in a Rochester jersey inside that 18-yard box. That's when if you are Williams, if you are Rayo, you have to get on your bike and get into a dangerous situation, a dangerous area.
There was a quick throw in, and the referee said it was from too far up the field. Columbus will bring this back. Long throw from Farsi, flicked along by Fuson. Kayike collects for Rochester. On the turn, here's Dolabella. Able to look upfield, and again, Rayo just lost his footing. Needing to force some turnovers. Rayo couldn't get there. All the way back down for Kaique. Looked like that hit off the referee, so they'll bring this one back for a drop ball. Now there's so many fans watching back in Rochester, hoping that they can find a way back into this one. Live to see another day, but this is an uphill battle. There's no doubt about it. Against the top team in MLS Next Pro. Here's Will and Alian trying to cut it back for Dolabella. And again, it was Strachan to step in defensively. Down the line for Batiz. Dancing on the ball. Batiz gets the cross away. It was deflected there by Schulte. And Alian couldn't get there quick enough. Rochester will have a throw-in.
And it's really good movement on this left-hand side between Batiz and Wood. Batiz very good 1v1, skips away from Farsi, creates his own space and puts a ball in with a lot of pace. Schulte unable to deal with it, but once again, we're starting to see Rochester getting their footing now, playing on their terms. Should play a bit quicker to open up more space for players.
You thought maybe that penalty save could spur them on, but it seems like that 5-minute stretch or so has passed Rochester by. A big collision there behind the play. This is going to be a foul against Rochester. Rayo closing down Quinton. Quinn, who comes from a very athletic family. His dad played soccer at Dartmouth. His mom was on the crew team at Yale. He played his college soccer at Notre Dame.
He's been fantastic in the middle of the three in the back line for Laurent Courtois' boys. Very good organizing, a lot of communication. Really taking out Rayo out of this game.
Zawadzki went down.
Again, you just look at your picture. There's no one in the middle of the field in a gray jersey. If that ball connects with Fuson, they're off to the races. You have Jallo, you have Dolabella. Dolabella's pushed out wide, Jallo's pushed out high. There's no connection in the middle of the field at the moment for the visitors.
You need to get your telestrator. Trying to draw on the screen. $20 minutes to go here from historic Crew Stadium. And Crew 2, so far, so good, taking care of business, but having to close this one out. A lot of experience, though, when you look at this Columbus side of whether it be playing college soccer or previous stops at various other leagues or divisions in North America. Konyeridge steps up. Stiff arm there, but play continues on. It's for a couple miles down the road here in Columbus.
Trying to get the Heisman with that move.
Here's Farsi. Space right through the middle. Trying to keep this moving on. Is there a third here? It's Fuson. He goes down, but it's Russell Rowe. He shoots, and it's saved again. Kaique. Second big stop in this second half. Keeping Rochester alive.
Great secondary run down the middle of the field from Zawadzki. Just look at the middle of your field. And then that death touch as Garrett's coming across. But again, Fuson trying to make it life extremely more difficult than it needs to be, trying to cut into this right-hand side. Russell Rowe stands up his defender, 1v1 between him and Wood, and tries to squeak it into that near post of Ka'ike, and it's like massive kick save. He's been terrific. 73 minutes, Ka'ike once again.
Corner floated in, headed out, and now it's Farsi. He'll clip it back in. Ka'ike's there, and how quickly will Rochester elect to go here? They'll slow things down.
And that's better in the rotation phase of the game for Rochester as this ball shifts out to Fuson. First it's Garrett, and then it's Wood standing up their attackers, not lunging in, not making any silly rash challenges, trusting their goalkeeper, and why not? He's been fantastic.
And a big stop in the first half. Saved the penalty from Parente and then denied the Golden Boot winner. Don't forget, there were many good saves and goals around MLS Next Pro this year. You can go vote for the top ones at MLS Next Pro on Twitter. Telfer for Fuson. Cuts it back. Telfer continues his run. It was just too far out in front. Usually how it goes is you can't score if you don't shoot, and there's been no shots registered in this half for Rochester, and the flag is up on Gibran Rayo.
Hasn't had the service that he would like. Rayo been working tremendously hard, riding the line of Columbus Crew, just a bit too eager on that one, gets caught offside.
Dante Brigida, Gabriel Costa, both coming on. Will and Alian will be the first one to come off. It sounds like Boubacar Jallo will be the next. And those are the last subs of the game. Costa, who was a big-time scorer in college at SMU, 20 goals, 22 assists. Same can be said for Dante Brigida, who scored 35 goals in his college career at Oral Roberts. And they need some sort of attacking presence now with just a quarter of an hour to go. Nicoletto trying to get by Wood, and Nicoletto's called for the foul. Not quite able to keep that ball in play. Here's Batiz. Wood. Bontes again. And that pass is off the mark. This portion of the match is presented by Coda, game-changing mobility solutions in Central Ohio. Here's Costa. Cuts it back. Curls it into the back post. Is this an opportunity? It is wide. Jabron Rayo was on the doorstep. A chance to bring one back, and it wasn't meant to be.
Good movement in the middle of the field as you spring. Costa, he does extremely well to cut this ball in and just dump it into a dangerous situation, cause a bit of chaos within the back line. No one steps to it, whether it's Strachan, whether it's Quinton, and it falls so nicely to Rayo. He's going to want this one back as he's jumping. It is a bit awkward, but there's no excuse. You're 5 yards out. This needs to be on target. It needs to hit the back of the net. He knows he should do better. He could do better. What an opportunity once again for Rochester, New York.
And a sub for Columbus. We'll see Marco Micheletto come off the field. It's the 19-year-old Coleman Gannon, former Atlanta United Academy product. He will come on. Initially was committed to his college soccer at Indiana, elected to go pro, and it's a big Indiana lineage here with the crew. Three goals and an assist for Gannon this year, including last week against Cincinnati. Going back to your point about the middle of the field, we had some pretty good stats behind the scenes, and Rochester's only utilized the middle third of the field 20% of the time.
It's been very Route 1, but there hasn't really been a presence. And it's very surprising. You look at the talent that Bruno Baltasar has there, whether it's Doabello, whether it's Giallo, players that have been on the ball and really have been the engine for this side for Rochester, making things go. It hasn't been the case here today. Doabello hasn't really made his impact felt. Yes, he's very good in possession, but we've seen him break lines in his passing, kickstart the attacking phase for Rochester, move the ball from left to right. It hasn't really been the case here today, and that's what you see. Ryle not getting on the ball as much. Williams hasn't really come alive as well. It's been a very frustrating phase for Bruno Baltasar in the attacking side of the game.
It may not necessarily show up on the stat sheet for Williams. 4 goals, 4 assists. Still pretty solid, but he does so much more from this team than just that. And so does this man here. Tied for the most key passes on the team this year with 28, and Ian Garrett. It's the same as Pedro Dolabella. Here's Costa. Again serving it in. There's Philip Quinton in central defense again. Costa weaving through. The referee says that was the ball. Parente for Fuson. Can he put this one away? Fuson around the keeper. He goes down. No whistle. And you wonder if that could be a yellow card coming for simulation. We'll get to that in a moment. Columbus still on the attack. And Williams collects it back for Rochester with under 10 minutes to go.
And to your point, Josh, I think it needs to be yellow if there's no foul called in this simulation.
Cut back again. It runs through for Fuson. Garrett will keep this in play.
But as he's 1v1 with the goalkeeper, he likes to go around Kaique as he comes off his line. It's either a foul or it's a yellow card. There's no in between. There's no gray area in a situation like that. A very lucky man, Noah Fuson, not to see yellow. The game play's not over yet, so we'll see what the referee decides to do.
Oh, some pressure here. It's Russell Rowe, wins it off of Kaique. Does he put it in? He does. That should do it for Columbus Crew 2. It's a brace for Jason Russell Rowe. 3 goals for Columbus Crew 2 as they book their spot in the Eastern Conference Final.
Columbus Crew 2 goal, scored by number 13, Jason Russell Rowe. Unassisted.
Creating your own luck is a big part of being a striker once again. How opportunistic he is. It's a heavy touch from Kaique, but if he doesn't make that 10-yard run to close down the space, he doesn't get this goal. Does his defensive duties extremely well, picks it up, and then having the composure to not to put it off to Fusan, but to able to get your hips around the ball, turn around, and then a player of that quality is always going to hit the back of the net from that distance with no one in there. Chips it up and over the leg of Kaique and then to the back of the net. 2 goals and an assist for Russell Rowe. Talking about your big-time player stepping up when you need him. Massive performance for the Golden Boot winner.
Well, with a first-year league, a first-year club with Columbus Crew 2, you didn't really know what you were going to get. You knew that there would be some good performances, but I think it's fair to say the star has been born in year number 1 of MLS Next Pro, and Jason Russell Rowe is that man. 20 years old, and he has been impressive from the very start. And now, could this be another? It's Russell Rowe! Jason Russell Rowe! It's a hat trick for the 2nd straight week! The star is born, and his name is Jason Russell Rowe! 4-0 Columbus!
Columbus Crew 2 goal, scored by number 13, Jason.
And this time he drops back and provides a little bit of Linko play. Again, skips away. And look at the lack of marking for Rochester, New York as he continues his run. Runs by 3 players in gray. First touch to set himself, and he uses the momentum against Wood. No one takes the initiative to close down, to step up, to put a tackle in inside that 18-yard box, and the man's on fire. He's going to make you pay. Everyone's watching. A little toe poke. Nothing Kaique can do. He's left to dry from his back line once again. So clinical. 3 goals in back-to-back games for Russell Rowe. I think you called it, Josh. Fantastic performance, and a star is in the making before our eyes.
He's now scored 24 goals this year, regular season, and now 1 game of playoffs. He scored 7 in the last 2 weeks. That is 30% of his goals have been in a 2-game span, and he's scored that many goals. It's absolutely incredible.
It's like, what, if you're Philadelphia Union 2, Toronto FC 2, and you advance to the Eastern Conference Final, you have to find a way to slow that man down. He hasn't really had much of the ball, let's say, but we'll say in the final third, 3 looks at goal. 3 balls hitting the back of the net. Talk about efficiency at its finest. Fantastic form from the striker. Seeing the ball hit the back of the net, he's just going to build this confidence.
This is played out wide, and is there another opportunity coming? It's Jason Russell Rowe. He missed it, and it runs all the way through. Farsi couldn't get there either. He's put out of play. And 2 more subs coming. Farsi will be coming off. It will be Jordan Knight, and Michael Vang will also be coming onto the field.
Substitution for Columbus
And
Crew 2.
Isaiah Parente
Exiting the match, number 16, Isaiah Parente.
will also be coming off the field.
Exiting the match, number 17, Michael Vang.
And those the final 2 subs of the day for Laurent Courtois.
Mohamed Farsi. Entering the match, number 19,
Michael Vang, one of the initial signings here with Columbus Crew 2. Jordan Knight. joined the academy just last year. The 20-year-olds. Now just to close things up on Jason Russell-Rowe, unless he finds another goal here, which wouldn't put it past him, but if Toronto wins, he's going to be facing Toronto FC 2. And of course, he is from Toronto, Ontario, started his career in the Toronto FC Academy until 2019. Played his college soccer at Maryland, and then, of course, had his homegrown rights acquired to be signed to the first team back in June. It could really come full circle for Jason Russell-Rowe in just a week's time if Toronto FC 2 is the team to come out of the other Eastern Conference semifinal later on tonight. And is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Gannon brought down.
And just going back to Rochester, New York FC and their defensive positioning. Yes, I've harped on Dobella, I've harped on Jalo. But also, if you're that back three, and you see those guys pressed up, you have to be able to, one, communicate with them to pull them back, or two, push up yourself and higher the line. You can't have the gaps between lines between 15 and 20 yards. You see what happens. Russell-Rowe was able to run in behind, no one stepping up, time after time. Parente, Zawadzki, as this game, Parente's now off the field, but Parente and Zawadzki, as this game kept on going, they started to find their footing. They started to find the real estate in and around that single pivot. So it's not only on the midfield players for the Rochester, New York. You're looking at that back line as well to read the situation and adapt throughout the game.
And here comes Columbus again. We'll see how much stoppage time is added on. Three minutes of stoppage time added on. Chance here for Columbus. And this runs out of play. Looks like the inaugural season for Rochester, New York FC going to come to a close. And had some good conversations with Bruno Baltazar throughout the year, but he said just getting to the playoffs, it means so much. He said this group was so ambitious. He said he was really never asked about getting to this point because he didn't really think it would ever come. He kind of defied the odds this year, really put together a brilliant season, and unfortunately it's going to come up a bit short. Maybe they can find a goal to celebrate something here. That's blocked down by Quinton. From the start of the season where so many showed up just a week before the season started to where they are at now, it has really been an incredible ride in this first season for Rochester, New York. And there was even a video last week in Rochester getting a chat with, of course, their co-owner, Jamie Vardy. And that's also a big part of what this team is about.
And it's not easy starting anything from scratch, let alone an entire club. Yes, you look around this MLS Next Pro, you have your first teams, you have the infrastructure, you have the facilities already.
And there is one back for Rochester. Something to celebrate for Dante Brigida. Just his second goal of the year. There will be no clean sheet. And Rochester, albeit they do get a consolation today.
And it's brilliant work from the two substitutes that come into this game. On this left-hand side, Casa has been terrific, playing in between the pocket, just causing chaos, asking questions of the shape of Columbus Crew. It's a ball in right between this back line of Strachan and Telfer. Brigida gets in behind, and it's a textbook header. Doesn't need to hit it too hard, just needs to guide it into that far post. Brilliant take from Rochester, New York FC to get a goal on the scoreboard. But going back to my point about this MLS Next Pro, you look around the teams around the league, as they are the lone
independent team.
You have this Columbus Crew team, for example. They have the infrastructure of the first team. They have the facilities, but this Rochester, New York team didn't have that. This is the first team. These are the players that are leading the pathway for the young kids in Rochester to see, look, I want to play there. I want to get in this organization. I want to prove myself and showcase every time I step on the field. So Bruno Balthazar and his organization and his coaching staff take notice of me, and they've done the city well, terrific. To get to this point, you don't have to have too many people believe in you. It's just about in the locker room, the 18, the 30 players, whatever it may be, the coaching staff, the athletic staff, the nutritionists, whoever it is, to make this thing work. And if you're a Rochester, New York supporter or player, you have to be extremely proud of your accomplishments throughout this inaugural season of MLS Next Pro.